The Secrets of Stargate is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
You're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, episode 39.
Janet West, Jackson has identified the seventh symbol.
All right, here we go. We are about to try to make a connection.
All we gotta do is bust out of here, commandeer the ship, and fly on home.
Please, say that a lot.
I know that this could be dangerous, but this is our job, right? It's what we signed on to do.
It was never about going home. It's about getting us to where we're going.
Hi, I'm Jack Baruzzini, and you're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, where we talk about the hidden meanings and deeper layers found in the Stargate movies, TV series, and more. And joining me today are Lisa Jones. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Jack.
And Victor Lambs. Hey, Victor.
Hey, Jack.
Today, we are discussing the 19th episode of Season 2, One False Step. You want to give us a rundown of this episode, Victor?
Sure. After Carter crashes her new flying mount into a weird alien plant, SG-1 must travel to the planet of strange white people to recover it. While Daniel attempts to communicate with the bizarre white people who live in the village, he notices that the white people are suddenly struck down with a grave illness. Dr. Fraser arrives and takes a white person back to the SGC for further examination. After experimenting with various medical devices, Dr. Fraser determines that the physiology of the white people is just too weird, and their music is also very annoying. Back on the planet, Jack gets a headache, and Daniel becomes obsessed with another weird plant. Then they sarcastically bicker with each other. Teal'c stays behind to watch the weird plant for Daniel while Jack and Daniel head back to Earth. Back on Earth, Daniel reviews his videotape and gets another headache, leading Carter to determine that the SG-1 team has been suffering from Havana syndrome, toxic sound waves likely caused by the network of plants which was damaged when Carter crashed her drone into it. This is also what has been making all the white people sick. After installing a solar-powered boombox on the site that plays white people music, they recover, and SG-1 makes the 10-mile trek back to the gate for the fourth time that day. The end.
It's pretty much sums it up, yeah.
Yeah.
You made that sound a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I left out a lot of, yeah.
The filler that's in there.
Yeah.
I didn't think of the Havana syndrome connection. That's a good one, though. I like that. What were your thoughts on this episode, Lisa?
Okay, so 2 episodes ago during holiday, I kind of ranted about this episode being one of the worst of all time. And so watching it again, it was pretty bad. It's not the absolute worst. There were some great moments of dialogue between Jack and Daniel. They had some really witty, exchanges and things like that. But overall, I'm still going to give it a thumbs down. I'm sorry. I love Stargate. This is not my favorite episode.
What about you, Victor? I know that in the setup to this, you both had told me how bad this episode was, so I was throwing in it looking for
we did. We did have that feedback last week about how the early SG-1 episodes were kind of like early Star Trek Next Generation episodes. And this feels very much like a first season Star Trek The Next Generation episode here. It doesn't really fit into the rest of, the Stargate world. There's, I think, one idea in it. The rest is just, like you said, a lot of filler happening. So, and then the aliens themselves are kind of unfortunate in every sense of the word. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's...
You can see the seams on their outfits. I can't handle it. They're supposed to be naked, and then later we learn they're supposed to be covered with body paint, but you could see zippers. And
you could see zippers. You could see, the sewing creases. And this is, I can forgive, that kind of set design. It's if you watch, The Next Generation or the original series of Star Trek and the remastered HD versions, you can see the Phillips head screwdrivers that are holding the LCARS panels on. You can see the seams in the carpet and all that.
No.
I'm okay with that because you couldn't see that on a standard definition TV. But none of the Stargate episodes are in HD, and you could still clearly see like the zipper right down the back, and you can see like there's
and the wrinkles in the garment.
Literally, why they're saying they're very naked, and as that line is being read, the person is on screen with a visible like neckline.
And there was one guy where he has like the neckline, and you can see like they have like paint on them, and you can see like his chest hair poking out over the top. It's like they didn't even bother to like put some like tape or something, or like have him like shave it or whatever.
Yeah.
Just very low effort.
So it begs the question, why didn't they just, have them? They're all men. They could have been, naked on top, right? And then had like the unitard or flesh colored whatever on the bottom. They could have done it in a way and just painted them all on top, or even painted where the neckline was. So I don't know. I don't know. I got so many problems.
Yeah, and I would love to know what like the direction was to the actors who had to be the white people in this episode. It's like walk like you've got a full diaper or something. It was painful to watch.
They reminded me of the aliens in Galaxy Quest, the way they're all like walking around.
Yeah. So Jack, what did you think? Since we really set it up well for you, what did you think?
It was bad, and I think it's made worse because it's coming in the middle of what's been a really strong second half of season 2. Like the episode last week with Apophis coming back. Like that episode was fantastic, and like we even talked about how well done the old age makeup in that was. Like, so they can do good makeup, but this episode was just a dud. It doesn't connect to anything. There's no real interesting ideas explored in it. Like, I thought what they were gonna do was that the alien people on the planet were gonna be like the next like evolution in like the metamorphosis of those weird plant things. Like, I thought they were like actually gonna be the same species or something like that. And they don't do anything with like that.
No, just a one-off.
Yeah, and there's a lot to. When I first started watching this, I wrote down in my notes just because I wanted to know like where exactly. I was like, where does this go bad? Because it starts and you have the UAV crash and stuff, and it's not that it ever like suddenly becomes a bad episode. It just never starts being a good episode.
Mm-hmm. It's like it lost its way.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you take out the mimey, people and unitards, and you just focus on the rest of the episode, it's fine. Like I said, there's some great interchanges between the characters and teamwork and, Daniel and all that. But I don't know. The punch, it just didn't get there.
Yeah. There's never a moment where they end up communicating with the polyphonic spree aliens. They just like there's no like development of that relationship between them. You never figure out anything about them. They're just like these mute, weird creatures that don't have really anything interesting about them.
And the big thing we're left with at the end of the episode is Carter talks to her plants. It's like, really? That was it? That was a thing.
Yeah. And the plants on this planet too, I mean, the most we ever really see of them are they're just like some, spheres lying on the quarry, this really needed to be shot in a soundstage because you have like your typical Vancouver forest in the background, then just like dirt, and then just people have left some like white spheres on the ground, and those are your mysterious alien plants, and it's not impressive or cool looking at all. Although I did like their pods that the people lived in, though. Those were like very Riven, the sequel to Myst. There.
I was thinking of that, like the design of the weird alien, the plants, like when they come up out of the ground, it really looked like something that would be like in a PlayStation 2 video game or a Nintendo 64 video game or something. Just the really bad CGI.
Yeah, and the fact that Daniel's obsessing about this plant coming out of the ground and Jack doesn't believe him for whatever reason, and then the actual plant coming out of the ground itself has nothing to do with anything. It's just that the plants are connected via roots, that have green blood in them, and the green blood makes Teal'c hurt.
Yeah.
I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I kind of lost. Well, maybe I wasn't paying terribly much attention by the end. Like how all that came to be at the end.
It's true. The plants coming out of the ground has no bearing on the plot at all, and they make it like they build it up like this is going to be important. I thought what was going to happen was like when you see Daniel's outside the hut, and then you see like the plant go down, and there's the guy standing there. I thought it was going to be that like the plants come up, and then they like come down, and there's like one of those new aliens, like that's how they're born or something. But they don't do anything with it.
They were definitely setting it up like that. Like even though I've seen this episode now probably 2 or 3 times, when those plants go back down, you expect to see like a new alien there, and it's like, oh, this is how the like plants do something. But
Or like it really means something. Like, oh, it's paying attention to what they're doing, so it's hiding from them, and then this and that. But no, no.
And another problem with this episode is that none of this is played for comedy, really, but it feels like it should have been. And they hang a lantern on the entire problem that they've come up with, which is the fact that they're going around and contaminating these planets with their germs from Earth, kind of like, you know, when people came over from the old world to the new world, they brought all their germs over, but they didn't know they were doing that. But in this case, like the standard, like they're highlighting the fact that the standard protocol should be for anytime you go on a Stargate mission is either sending UAVs to survey, and then when you do go there, like be fully decontaminated and wearing a hazmat suit. And they continue to talk about this, and they're like, we probably brought this sickness here to hurt these aliens. Let's go to the other villages where they may not be infected and see if they're infected. Like,
well, you notice they set it up this way because first thing Daniel does when he comes through the gate is he sneezes. And we haven't heard Daniel sneeze in how long? So he sneezes, and then he sneezes again, then he sneezes again, then Carter cuts her hand, and then Teal'c mentions that one of them has, what was it, transmission fluid
like
or something?
Hydraulic fluid from the probe. Yeah.
Fluid. Yeah. It's like all these weird, I felt like I was in a murder mystery where you're trying to figure out who done it. And you have all these, or maybe it's like a escape room, you know, where you have all these different things and you're trying to figure out which one is applicable. And it turns out none of them matter.
right.
And Fraser shows up and says, oh, it could just be someone's aftershave for all we know. Like, as they're rattling off all the probable causes here. I mean, they do try for humor. You know, the premise is that SG-1 visited this planet the day before, but didn't go far enough away from the gate to see the villages or the plants. And so Daniel shows up and goes, whoa, deja vu. And like, you're wondering, is it just because it looks like every other planet? And Teal'c says, did we not visit the same planet yesterday? And Daniel goes like, duh, that's what I meant. You know, it's like, okay.
Do you think maybe this episode was created to highlight Daniel? Because we've had a lot of Jack episodes. We've had a lot of, you know, Carter fixes it. We've had, you know, Teal'c family and Jaffa stuff. And so this was Daniel's chance to be the archaeologist and know things about other cultures and how to interact. And, you know, back to the movie, you know, where he did the, you know, chicken bok bok, you know, and here I'm the UAV flying around. Was this supposed to be his episode?
This is chance to workshop his JJ the jet plane impression. Yeah.
All it does is highlight how incompetent he is, though. Like, really, it's not a flattering episode if he's meant to be the focus of it.
But then Carter swoops in and figures it out at the end. So I did read some people online were mad about that. They liked it. There were people who really liked this episode, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bad.
Go to Reddit. There's people who really like this episode.
Yeah. Some very broad, you know, humor as well. Fraser showing up, you know, on the planet, you know, now this is a house call, you know, and then when Jack and Teal'c are sitting in the infirmary Jack and Daniel, and they're saying, you know, sorry, we got in this big fight. There definitely has to be something wrong with us physically. And then Fraser walks in and says, well, there's nothing wrong with you, you know.
Like that. I got a lot. But yeah, overall, this felt like and I'd have to look and see who wrote this episode, but it feels
they didn't write a lot of episodes for the show.
They did.
Like,
this was the only one, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think this may have been like spec script or unsolicited script or I don't know.
Yeah, the guy who
what the term is.
Michael Kaplan. He only wrote one episode, and then it was also written by another guy who only wrote one. So it was two guys who have only written. This is the only episode they wrote for Stargate, and this felt like a generic sci-fi story that was shoved into Stargate. Like none of the character interactions, even beyond when they're like bickering at each other because of the low frequency sound, which is causing them to be agitated. None of their interactions really felt like the actual characters.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that.
Oh, actually, one of the co-writers actually wrote for or was on the crew for Myst 3 Exile
for
their live video shoot.
Nice. Well, I think that.
And the other one wrote the killer app episode of Silk Stockings, apparently. So,
so these are.
Not the A-list.
Silk Stockings wasn't the A-list. Come on.
Yeah. Not
And
the
then the
A-list for
director
Stargate
of this
writers,
episode, he directed 2 episodes, but I don't know what the other one was.
So this was like the episode they filmed when the entire crew was taking their off week, I guess. Yeah. So the director, Bill Corcoran, directed this episode, and he directed the season 3 episode Seth. And I don't know if that's a good episode or not. So.
Let's see.
It's I mean, it's not a bad episode. It's the cult. Remember the cult one, Victor? Where they have to go undercover in the cult.
Oh, good. Goodness gracious. No, I don't remember that one. But
Okay.
it looks like with her brother or something. But
So it's not a bad episode in my opinion.
Nice.
So, but I did read something, an interview with the director, and he said that he hired actors experienced in mime to develop their own communication. And so they wanted to see the development of trust and language between the 2 worlds. And Michael Shanks was great with assessing the situation and really responsible for making the scene in the shelter come alive. Yeah.
Except they didn't really do any of that in the episode. There was no no real like development, or there's no follow through on them trying to communicate. It's just the aliens don't talk, and they figure it out just because Carter figures it out by listening to the low frequency audio from the drone video and then the recording of the plant. Like, there's never a point where they actually break through the communication barrier and communicate with the aliens. So that's not something that really is paid off. And I think it's an interesting concept, having this alien species that does not communicate verbally at all, but they communicate with sound waves and like have to have this certain like sound frequency to remain healthy. Like, that's a cool idea, but they don't do anything cool with it.
Yeah.
And I wish I thought or made the connection that it was a planet of mimes. That would have made my summary work so much better. But
I should have texted you.
Well, and so Carter figures out that like the sound waves on the video like could potentially be very harmful. So like, where does she run to like test her theory and like crank it up? Like the most populated room on the base, like the most critical, the operations center.
Pipe it through the PA system.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I agree with you, Jack. When you think about what they were trying to create and the basis of the alien, it is. And I don't think we see another episode where they tackle aliens that not only don't speak English, but don't speak at all. I mean, I don't think we see anything like this again. Maybe there's a reason, but
yeah,
we do. I feel like it was a missed opportunity, and maybe it was a filler because I don't. I was saying I don't think we really get a good, what is it called, flashback episode this season, right?
The last episode of the season is a clip show.
Oh, you're right. It is. It is out of mind. So I was thinking maybe that's what we were doing here, was kind of saving some money and, filler. But season 2 is such a great season that I kind of hate to see them miss this step.
I think it looks like the next couple episodes we're going to do before the end of the season are going to be good. So maybe they just had a free slot in the schedule and this was an easy one to knock out. But the weird thing to me is like they put effort into building those huts, and then they put effort into like designing the CGI for the creatures and all that. So like a little bit of effort went into like the set design and stuff, but then they totally phoned it in on the costumes when that would have been, I feel like that's the easiest part to get right.
Well, again, I don't understand. They're men. Why didn't they just have them go shirtless and paint them?
Right.
Yeah, or make the costumes out of like vinyl or something, that would
Yeah.
not be obvious fabric. I don't know. It's
Yeah. They were on Showtime.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. They must have had lots of vinyl costumes like around someplace.
I just mean that they could show some skin.
Yeah.
I mean, they show a lot of women's skin. So here's an opportunity where you have characters who are supposed to be naked and they cover them up, but then you have all these women who are supposed anyway, and then they're it doesn't make any sense to me.
And then after they've been around him for like a couple hours, like very close, close enough that they could steal like Carter's knife and stuff, then they say, "Oh, did you know they're not really naked? It's just body paint that's been hardened into like, a shell, like that stuff you pour on ice cream." And it's like, did they not know? Like how did it take them that long to figure that out? But
Do you think that was maybe a kind of slip in there in case anyone questioned, oh, they're not really naked, like we can see stuff? Do you think that was
maybe, yeah,
like a writer's way of, giving us a reason for it?
But there's no.
we found the closet that has all the sparkly unitards in it. They could have said that instead.
Yeah.
I had to explain to my kids what a unitard was.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, but there's no like plot reason that they have to be wearing like shells of body paint. Like it doesn't factor into anything. Like, so I guess they just needed it was a quick and easy costume, and
Yeah.
what we've seen before,
Yeah.
like with the Nox or whatever, they just had like weird bear furs on and stuff. Like they could have done anything else, and it would have been better. I feel like.
Or have them wear like plant leaves or something,
Yeah.
Mhm.
like a
Or
Doctor
painted
Who.
them
Or,
just,
yeah.
even if they'd put them a color, like full on. That probably takes more work.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't
A lot
know.
of
It is kind of ironic that the episode is called One False Step, right? I mean,
and we get the title in dialogue too, which is always the sign of a good episode.
oh well, we got some Jack Daniel bickering, which is
Yes, we
always a little
did.
fun. Because I have to say that the two actors have amazing chemistry. And when they bicker, you almost watch them and think, are they really?
Yeah.
Do they really get along or not? But I've heard they always got along. It was just great to see them. It's so natural to snipe at each other.
Yeah, definitely. They're definitely the two odd pairing. They don't really jive well.
Mm-mm. And the other positive thing was them all trying to smile while they came up and
Yeah.
touched them and stuff. That was a humorous. I mean, for me, that was a
Yeah.
humorous moment. And, Tilk says, "What is it? I do not like this."
Yeah.
Pretty much sums up the whole episode.
I am not fond of this. Yeah, there were lots of moments where I wrote down where the script becomes self-aware. Like Jack saying, "Witness if you will, squat." Another one.
This was the precursor to the new Matrix movie. Just go totally self-aware about how bad it actually is.
Oh, they do exactly that. Like later on in season, 5 and then 10, I think, where they go completely meta like that. But yeah. Oh yeah. What?
I know. I saw someone online said, it could have been nice to have like this long arc of who they are and like what's going on. And I'm like, that's not what they did in the late 90s sci-fi. You didn't have these, and we've talked about that. We didn't have these discovery arcs where it's a whole season for one plot. It's single, a lot of single Planet of the Week episodes. I wish they'd taken a little more development in this one.
And it would have been cool if Doug Jones had been able to, who plays Saru, right, on Discovery, like if he had been able to somehow like act all of the characters and doing it while wearing like his Mac Tonight Moonhead that he did in those commercials, that would have been cool.
That would have been fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like you were saying, Lisa. They didn't do long arcs like this in the 90s, which is a detriment to episodes like this, but it's also a positive in that we didn't get a whole season of this.
Yes.
True.
Because then you end up with things like most of Discovery, where it's
Right.
one bad idea stretched out over
Right.
the entire season.
Well, exactly. Especially with 22 episodes a season, you can have a blink and have a. I mean, I guess you kind of expect to have. You have 22 episodes a season. You kind of expect to have an episode here and there that, meh, you know, just. I mean, I'm not going to stop watching the show over it. Obviously, you know. I mean, it's just. You know, it's like, oh, okay, that wasn't awesome, but next week's going to be better, and next week is better, and then 2 weeks, we have an amazing episode that is probably a fan favorite.
Oh, definitely like top 10 episode right there.
Yeah, 1969. So yeah, it's and then like y'all said last week, Serpent Song was excellent. So I don't know. I guess it's very forgivable to have a hiccup.
But still, I mean, one wrong move, one false step, and a whole episode gets wiped out.
All I could think of was when the aliens start doing that, like that singing thing that for some reason Carter says is beautiful.
We haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah, like so they do this thing where they gather around and they like make these high pitched wailing sounds that just sound...
with their Korg M1 synthesizer or whatever.
I was about to say something like that, or like most of Yoko Ono's music. But it's just this horrible wailing, and Carter's talking about how beautiful it is. Like they make this beautiful music. It's no, on no planet is that pleasant.
Or when they're like doing the MRI of the alien and like all the physiology is messed up, and like Carter and Fraser look at it and go like, well, that's weird. And then they like cut away from it. And then later on they're talking about, oh yeah, that organ must be like a sound sensing organ. And you're like, okay, that's kind of one giant leap, but sure.
Yeah. It's like we also have sound sensing organs. They're called ears.
Ears.
Yeah. And it was the only organ that seemed to really pop up. Huh.
I thought that was their heart though in the stomach. But then again, they don't really make it clear. They kind of just...
Easier to suspend belief, right? You just go with it. They're aliens.
If they're covered with like a hard shell of body paint, how do they go to the bathroom?
Well, if they don't have any tools and they don't, and there's no, you know, he said there was no tools, there's no plates, there's no food, like, so maybe they don't eat. I don't know.
And that's why I was thinking, like, if they had followed that concept through and made them like actually be like fungal beings that sprout out of those pods, like, they do a lot of interesting things with that. But as it stands, they're just really weird people.
Yeah.
But think about it again. Symbiotic, you know, you've got the whole Gould and Jaffa thing, right? Symbiotic, and then you've got plants and people, and it's a great theory.
But like, why are they symbiotic? What do they do for the plants, and what do the plants do for them? Like, there's no real symbiosis there. They're, if anything, they're just parasites living off the plant sound.
Well, yeah.
Well,
but do they, when they sing, does it feed the plant?
They don't talk about that, so I don't know.
Yeah.
That was always the impression I got for some reason.
It seems if you had a couple of those like solar powered like boom boxes they had at the end, you could actually keep some of these guys in a zoo.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, who's going back to check on them? Are we just gonna stops working? I mean, they didn't heal the plant. They didn't. They didn't.
Maybe
they didn't fix it.
Maybe they're hoping that it will work long enough until the plant heals itself, and then it can just take over.
There we go. I mean, that would have been better if they'd been like, "Oh, it's already semi-healing," and if we just, I
am excited though to see when Alex Kurtzman inevitably reboots Stargate and does this episode, instead of having it be like that weird low bass frequency, he's going to play the Beastie Boys for the aliens, and that's going to heal them.
Oh no. Oh, I think they do hint at that. I was just checking my notes at the end when the aliens are singing and then the plants actually blossom for some reason. So I think they do indicate that there is like that symbiotic type relationship there.
Oh, that's right. That's how Carter said she talks to her plants. So they sing to their plants and the plants grow. And then the plants emit a noise, but not anymore, that the people respond to.
They had all their Nickelodeon slime leaking out of them.
That hurts. Like, can we go back to that? Like,
it's mood slime from Ghostbusters 2.
So, yeah.
It's like, I was like, when they were arguing, I was like, is Ambassador Sarek nearby or something? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
with his but no, yeah, I mean, there's another thing that makes this episode very funny when you start to think about it is they establish that this village is 10 miles from the gate. And so Jack says, oh, great, 6 hours there and 6 hours back, or something to walk. And then they make so many trips back and forth to the gate in this village. It's like, did they carry that like guy on the stretcher for 10 miles, Did Frasier walk 10 miles and then turn around with all of her gear and like walk? I don't know.
So it shouldn't take you.
I guess so.
6 hours to go 10 miles. I mean,
No, he said there and back.
Oh, okay. So it's 3 hours. Okay.
3 hours. Yeah, and this was Frasier's second time through the gate, but the first time we saw it.
Oh, okay.
She'd only been off-world once, and that was Solitudes. Solitudes? Singularity. Ooh, I gotta go back and look. The one with Cassie, I'm pretty sure.
So yeah, that was Singularity.
Singularity. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It makes me wonder why the ancients put the gate on this planet. Like, if those beings were there before, or like, there's nothing connecting this to anything else in the Stargate universe, and I think that's why it's so interesting. Like, they're obviously not humans, so they weren't brought there by the Goa'uld or anyone else. But they're not.
You know what they did say that was interesting is they'd been to that planet the day before, right? And they didn't find anything. And Carter wanted to go back for the UAV because they were saying there's no reason to go back because there's nothing there. So this brought up an interesting point. So the UAV traveled 10 miles. So usually when they go to a planet, they only get to the area right around the gate. And are they admitting that there could be other things on these planets besides what's in the immediate vicinity of the gate?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because it comes up a lot more in Atlantis when they have the puddle jumpers and can like say, well, there's nothing near the gate, but we flew like around to the other side of the planet or
Right.
something. But yeah, without any sort of means of travel like that, then yes, I mean, you're pretty much limited. And the assumption is that anything interesting would be within, range of the gate maybe, but
Yeah.
I don't know,
In
maybe the
theory, but they
aliens
would-
like saw their profile, like the mime people's profile or something, and thought they looked cool and then put the gate there and then went through and actually met them and then was like, oh, this is a horrible
Never
mistake.
mind.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, it does kind of. My assumption was that, like, SG1 always goes through and does like a quick scout around, and if something's interesting, have an adventure. But otherwise, the follow-up groups probably branch out more and more when they have more time to look around. But I think it's also just one of those Planet of the Hats kind of things you get in sci-fi, where every alien planet is homogenous and like it's like a one world government. Everything is exactly the same on the planet. There's like a monoculture, and I feel like it's the same kind of thing with this.
Could be.
Yeah.
We do get some fighting worlds later.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Oh yeah, we
The
do.
fight,
Yeah.
which is
Different
kinda fun.
factions and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. It's early days. I keep reminding myself. We're how many episodes in? Like 40, 40?
Yeah.
41?
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Those are actually.
it is still early days in the grand scheme of how many years the show was on.
Right.
Yeah, those are my favorite episodes where they find a civilization that's like 1940s America, but with space travel type things. Where there's like, these civilizations that like, oh, they, culturally they seem to be at the level of 1940s Earth, but however they have mastered like, so there are some cool, civilizations like that. Those are my favorite
Nice. Like that.
Mhm.
That's one of the things.
because they have really cool costumes and architecture and stuff.
That's one of the things I really like about the original series is that of Star Trek, where they would do like those planets, whereas like the gangster planet or the ancient Rome planet. Like I like those really far out ideas in sci-fi. And one of my biggest problems with both modern Star Trek and just modern sci-fi in general is that it's not weird enough. And so I like when things get like more like esoteric and strange in their concepts. So,
We do have a lot of that coming up, but
Yeah.
I think this episode shows that you can be a little too esoteric and strange in some respects.
So would you, if you had to pick, would you pick this or Emancipation?
Is the worst, you mean?
Yeah. Like, which one would you rather rewatch, I guess?
I would watch Emancipation. Definitely. Yeah, my kids had never even seen this one. They were like, this is like a long lost episode to them. They were like, we've never seen this. And they're like, why have we never seen this? Then they watched it and they were like, oh, okay, no.
Yeah, I think I said this like when we were talking about a previous episode, but yeah, stuff happens in Emancipation. At least it's not necessarily good stuff, but at least, you know, on a level of camp it works, and this just doesn't even work at that level. Yeah,
I'm gonna say a lot of talking, you know, and you know me, I love relationship building and all that kind of stuff. This was not that.
No.
This was a lot of just kind of I don't want to say boring, but it was
boring, and I think it's made worse by the fact that they had like the nugget of a good idea and they did absolutely nothing with it. And it feels like it almost feels like it was intentional that they set up these interesting ideas and then completely didn't follow through. And they're just like, all right, we're at the 44-minute mark. Here's how the plot resolves, and then it's done.
Yeah,
let's put a bow on it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's how it was. It's like the end of season 2. They're like, oh my gosh, we have all these great things. We have all these, you know, fires going. We have some cool stuff happening in the next couple episodes that take a lot of effort and a lot of time. So somebody do a quick episode, you know, like just don't think about it. I don't know how this works with actors and how you pay them, but they didn't say anything.
Oh yeah. So
isn't there a pay scale based on if you talk?
Yeah. I think
there is in the U.S., right? If with the
that was just Canada
with the TV Actors Guild or whatever it's called, but who knows? I mean, although they're Canadian mimes, so how much do they really like make? Probably they're probably subsidized by the government, right? And so they probably make more than most U.S. actors. But
there was an actor that does appear in a later episode who was one of the white guys. You're gonna ask me who? It was one of the guys. I think it was the one that came back to Earth. I can't remember for now. But he plays Cassandra's boyfriend, Dominic, in the later episode on her 16th birthday.
I guess they were impressed with his performance here. Or it's just one of those things where you have a certain selection of actors and it's easier to bring people back.
This guy was easy to work with. He had auditions again, and we're like, hey, we know you. And yeah. So my husband was like, he looks familiar. And I'm like, no way. Sure enough.
Nice. Is it Colin Heath?
I cannot remember the guy's name. I'm sorry.
This is the only episode he's in, so I don't know.
I have to go. I didn't save it when I was looking at it.
Although he is just listed as Alien. So.
Oh no, Colin Heath was the first one, the short one. Because I looked him up. And where is Walter?
Yeah, I don't know. We get the Daniel Bacon technician in this one, the technician played by Daniel Bacon, who we see again. I mean, he's kind of like the, you know,
he's on
I don't know how many episodes.
He got in trouble. What happened? Because last week y'all had Graham again.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Daniel Bacon plays the technician in 9 episodes of SG-1, so we'll be seeing more of him.
I do like so on the SG-1 wiki, the plants are referred to as mood shrooms, and the aliens are referred to as pod people, and so I feel like that's a great name for like a 60s psychedelia band. The pod people and the mood
Maybe
shrooms.
that was the problem. We just had the wrong
shrooms.
lens of watching this episode.
Yeah. Maybe it's all some like drug metaphor or something. Like Puff the Magic Dragon or something.
Should have taken some more NyQuil.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Did y'all have any other thoughts on this gem of an episode?
Okay, I have to say something. I feel guilty. I feel guilty like not loving an episode. I do.
I didn't hate it. I thought I was from what I remembered of it, I thought I was going to hate it, and it just never clicks. It just never gets going. It just kind of sits there in first, spinning its wheels in the mud. And
yeah, I think that's my biggest qualm with this episode is that there's unrealized potential. Like, it's not just straight up bad. It's like 25% of an interesting premise that just gets completely wasted. But I definitely wouldn't say this is like the worst episode I've seen. Like, trying to think of what my least favorite. Yeah, this one just suffers from.
Do you want us to throw out some suggestions? No. Just kidding.
Yeah.
No. I you know me. I'm a big fan. I hate to not appreciate every episode, but yeah. Just
A for effort, I guess.
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
We still love them.
No, yeah.
Yes.
And that's what I like about like 90s sci-fi is that you get a much wider range of content. Like one of my biggest qualms, I know I've probably said this multiple times on the show with new TV shows, is that you get like 8 or 10 episodes a season and they're all tied into a main arc, and so it's all one tone. Like you don't get things like this where you have like one episode it's about the intergalactic conflict with the Gold, and then this episode's like a one-off. Like I appreciate how older TV shows could do stuff like that. Or like in Deep Space Nine, you get like in the middle of the Dominion War, you get an episode where all the characters play baseball. Like I like I like the variety that you get in kind of this. So I will take episodes like this if I can get that kind of variety.
Yeah, and I think for anybody tuning in when this episode first aired, they did not expect to see grown men in white unitards parading through their Stargate show for 42 minutes. So good on them for that.
That's true.
Yeah, definitely.
It was unique. That's true. Y'all haven't said this is just like that episode of Star Trek, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So it's a unique episode.
Yeah, I can't think of a comparison. I mean, yeah, none come to mind for me.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, before we go, we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Stargate, including Pat S., Aaron B., Francis L., Victor C., and Greg G. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Stargate and all the shows at StarQuest. You can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. And be sure to follow the show in Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or on the SQPN YouTube channel. And to find previous episodes of Secrets of Stargate and to send feedback, please visit sqpn.com/Stargate. And you can email us at stargate@sqpn.com or follow StarQuest on social media at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia or on Twitter at SQPN. You can also join the StarQuest fan club mailing list by texting StarQuest to 66866. Send StarQuest to 66866. And we'll be back next time when we'll be discussing the next episode of SG-1, Show and Tell. Until then, Lisa Jones, thank you for joining me and sharing the Secrets of Stargate.
Thanks, Jack.
And Victor Lambs, thank you as well.
Thanks, Jack. Now go play in the street and don't forget your sunblock.
Once again, Baruzzini, thank you for listening
Anyway,
to
I'm
Secrets
sorry,
of
but it just
Stargate
happens to
on
be how I
StarQuest.
feel about it. What do you think?